The ACLU has taken up a case, and they were partially successful yesterday when a Texas judge blocked Texas, the state, from investigating the parents of a trans teenager because their parents were engaging in and supporting their child and engaging in gender-affirming care. But the judge did not make a sweeping assessment over whether or not the state should stop investigating parents for participating in gender-affirming care for their kids. Now, this comes on the heels of Ken Paxton, who basically just issued a press release, legal opinion, that called gender-affirming care child abuse. Then Greg Abbott, whose primary was coming up, it's now passed, he won easily, issued a directive and said perhaps there should be an investigation into parents who engage in gender-affirming care for their children. The ACLU then followed up, decided to represent a particular family. There was a victory for that individual family, but the threat of these kinds of investigations in Texas remain. And I wanted to highlight this amazing piece by Sanea Day, I hope I didn't butcher that, and Karen Brooks Harper in the Texas Tribune that came out earlier this week, because they they interviewed a child, a trans child, and their family who is they're fearful of what this investigation may hold. Sorry. Jeez. Crying on 12:15 in the morning. Adeline, who stands at 5 feet 5 inches and is outspoken in class, had been having panic attacks in school as she approached puberty. After she started seeing the doctors in North Dallas, the attacks stopped. But last week, the panic attacks started again when Republican Governor Greg Abbott, 7 days before the GOP primary election, in which he's being accused of not being conservative enough, ordered state child welfare officials to launch child abuse investigations into reports of transgender kids receiving gender-affirming care. Adeline is terrified that she will be forcibly separated from her mother. So great is her anxiety that she doesn't want to sleep in her own bed. The Vigil family agreed to speak with the Texas Tribune, but did not feel safe disclosing the details about Adeline's medical care. A recent study showed that more than 40% of transgender youth attempt suicide. The rate of suicide attempts among transgender youth is 3 times higher than among their cisgender counterparts, according to a recent studies by the U.S. Centers for by the CDC. So she's not alone. The piece continues to highlight other kids, but another quote from this that rung in my ears. Since Adeline's mother sat her down and told her about the governor's order, the teen has been reconsidering whether she wants to go to her next doctor's appointment. She has been scrolling through TikTok videos about the order until her mother comes home from work. On Thursday, she tried to watch a Percy Jackson movie as a distraction, but the fear was getting to her. When I'm at work, she keeps calling and calling. When are you going to be home and how long? How much longer are you almost home? Adamalis said. It affects her in the sense that she wants to feel that kind of security and feel safe around me. I mean, that's the point here too, is when there's an understanding that being yourself and your parents helping you be yourself could get your parents in trouble with the law, in addition to just the general trauma of having to grow up trans in a state that hates you and actively codifies that into law, and they're open about it for their electoral reasons. For Greg Abbott, he wants to get through a primary, right? There's trauma growing up trans, and then there's the additional trauma of feeling like being yourself is going to get your parents locked up, and the fact that they're helping you be yourself is going to get your parents locked up. Let alone the cost for the family, the fact that they have to drive hours and hours to receive this kind of care. The effects of what Abbott and his administration is trying to do, I mean, that's going to have a chilling effect also on care available, let alone the trauma inflicted on trans kids in this massive state of Texas. There are thousands and thousands of kids that are going to be affected by this. Even if it's deemed to be unconstitutional, even if it gets to, like, say, the Supreme Court or something. And, you know, the best case scenario is that Abbott used this as a tactic because he had the primary election coming up and he doesn't follow through on this. But, you know, expecting the best of Republicans is not the way to go. So we'll see where this goes. But I mean, putting a human face to this and hearing how a child feels, and what gender affirming care does for that child. They are stripped of their voices in this conversation. Children are human beings and they deserve validation and they deserve their emotions to be heard and understood just like adults are. They feel things, and belittling them and blocking them from being themselves on the statewide level, I mean, that speaks way more to the kind of person that these Republicans are than anything else.